about 25 years, I went to sea as a merchant seaman. And finally, of course, after the war, I ended up as a longshoreman, at which time I retired after a number of years. But when the maritime strike took place in 1934, and I'm talking about the historical maritime strike, which ended up in San Francisco with a complete city shut down tightly by labor, with 45,000 to 50,000 men up and down the coast, boat longshoremen, ship's officers, seamen, longshoremen, ship's clerks, tugboatmen, everybody joining the strike to make it a success. I was back in the Maritime Union on the East Coast trying to persuade the hundreds of seamen along the eastern and Gulf Coast to come out and join the maritime strike on the Pacific Coast. That was our big opportunity, and it was a tough one, but we tried our hardest to do it because we know that over the years, the only way you're going to get better conditions is by sticking your neck out and fighting for them. And that was our time to do it. And we did the best we could at that time.
My father was a member of the Fort Point gang. He died this year, and he was also in the 1934 strike. Although he wasn't a longshoreman, he was a support person, and he did whatever was required to support the effort. Now, the significance of the 1934 strike is that it's a benchmark for San Francisco labor. It's probably a benchmark for all of labor, but for those of us who are in San Francisco, it's a benchmark for us. It marks the point at which workers for the first time began to take some control over their own destiny as labor that was available for hire. Prior to that point, workers would go down to the docks for a show-up in front of piers, and they'd get picked by some straw boss. And if, they were the wrong color, or somebody didn't like them that day, or they had, whatever the reason, they didn't get picked, they didn't have any money. There was nothing at all. Remember, 34 is before unemployment insurance. 34 is before Social Security. 34 is before FDR was forced to provide some benefits to American workers during the middle of the Depression.
Right now, my hope with this video is that we're losing history. You talk to people in our city about the general strike, and they don't know some of the times they don't know what you're talking about. And history is something that you have to keep in front of people all the time. It's a sort of a heritage to know that you come from a great city with great hopes and great aspirations, and a city that did so much to raise and elevate the conditions of its people. And San Francisco did just that by the maritime strike. So I say here that why we're doing this is to get it on film with the hope that maybe we can get it before the thousands of yet coming children and young people to see what happened in their city, so they'll understand that nothing ever comes to the working man or woman on a silver platter, free, gratis. It has every crumb, everything we get has to be fought for. And the only way we're going to do it is by instilling in the working people that this is the way it has to be done, by unity, self-sacrifice, helping each other, supporting each other, that we're going to make it. Now, why are we doing this film of all places at Fort Point, especially at this point here? Well, we're sitting on a bunch of benches here that have names of some of our wonderful people who have since passed away, and who made valuable contributions to the maritime industry and to the industries that they worked with, warehousing, the printing trades, longshoring, and so forth. And as you'll notice, Louis Goldblatt was Secretary-Treasurer of the ILWU, the International Longshoremen and Warehousemen Union. In the 34th strike, he was just a young guy, but he was out there on the picket line, fighting and struggling with everybody else. There's Joe Passon, there's Peterson, there's Jack Olson in the printing trades, all people that did something in their lifetime to elevate the conditions of the working man and woman.
Ain't nobody here, can join it for you. You've got to go down and join the union by yourself. Sister's got to go down.
people who've been active in the labor movement, some of them leaders in the labor movement, people that fought in the Spanish Civil War against Franco, and latecomers like Dennis and I who've been active in our unions and so on.
This is the day we picked to remember our dear friends, people we loved and respected, people we sort of grew up with, people we struggled with, and those who played a very important part in our life. This is the day we picked. Now that they're departed, in some fashion, let them know that we still remember them by tossing a flower into the bay or posting it up on the fence. There's no other way we could show our love and esteem to these people than either working harder for what we believe in, the causes we believe in, but at this particular state, we will do what comes naturally to us. Every May Day, we'll do this little part for those departed brothers.
In honor of the following departed: Lou Goldblatt,
Maury Evanson,
Al Richmond,
Stan Koppel,
Jack Olson,
George Kay,
Larry Eckenbrecht,
John Ruemaker,
Levon Moscovian,
Estelle Ward,
Steve Nelson.
Joe Passon, and Jerry Bulkey.
You're the Mother Superior, and we want to thank you for the Men's Auxiliary.
Oh,
See, we
you're-
men complain about the chauvinism around here, as if they believe only grandmothers like peace. What's the matter with grandfathers? We're in chopped liver, so we got taken in an auxiliary.
Actually, that's probably true because even when we were in Moscow, the mayor of Riga was there, and he complained about, what about grandfathers?
Yeah,
Yeah. So, I mean,
good for him.
you men have a common complaint, no matter where you are.
What kind of things does Grandmothers for Peace do in the Men's Auxiliary?
Well, primarily, it started out as an anti-nuclear organization, and it still is. And I don't know if we're making any progress or not, but hopefully.
I have always felt that our heritage and understanding what happened in this tremendous city of ours and the inspiration it gives to others, I have always felt that we've got to get this message to people. And I decided on my own. No, I was wrong. I decided on that with Al Richmond, who used to be editor of the People's World here, that we should give a tour. Take people on a tour. People from out of town, people that know nothing of this city. And we take them up and down the waterfront in San Francisco and tell them, this is where the strike took place. This is where 10,000 pickets met the police department. This is where 500 men went to the hospital in one day with busted skulls when the police charged into their lines. This is where 2 men were shot down in the back by the police. All of these things to show them the historical significance of the San Francisco waterfront. Well, it worked very well. I would talk about the San Francisco strike, and Al Richmond would talk about that great leader, Tom Mooney, who at that time spent more years in jail because of his political convictions than for what they said he had done. But anyhow, this thing took place, and we used to have 15, 25, maybe 50 people would join us on these Saturday and Sunday tours on the San Francisco waterfront. And they proved a success. So, of course, years went on and things got a little tough health-wise.